After Grogu was brought to Tython and placed onto the Seeing Stone, just like Ahsoka instructed, a mysterious blue energy field surrounded him as he meditated in the Force. The energy shield was so powerful that Mando couldn't even touch the child without being forcefully thrown to the ground. So could this luminous blue energy field actually be the ancient Force power known as the Force Protection Bubble from the Old Republic? I'm going to break down everything we know about the Safety Bubble Force ability and why Grogu may have used it to protect himself while deep in meditation, possibly calling out to another Jedi in the galaxy. Before we get into it, make sure to hit the subscribe button for more awesome Star Wars lore content. So, in The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 6, Grogu is placed in the center of an ancient Jedi Seeing Stone atop what is believed to be one of the 9 great temples on Tython. After Grogu sits and closes his eyes on the stone, a mystical blue barrier surrounds him, which potentially could be the ancient ability of Force Safety. A protection bubble, also known as a bubble of safety by some, was a Force power which allowed its user to create a nearly impenetrable defensive sphere around them using the Force. Most commonly, it appeared as a shimmering blue globe or a curtain of energy and could protect its user from a huge range of attacks, including blaster bolts, lightsaber strikes, and the cold dark void of space. The shield protecting Grogu definitely fits this description perfectly. On top of this, the Protection Bubble Force ability also carried some minor offensive abilities which would inflict a small amount of damage upon any living being who came too close to it or made direct contact. Again, we certainly saw this happen, with the Mando being violently flung through the air after touching the bubble, leaving him to hit the hard rocky surface of Tython. Another pretty awesome feature of the Safety Bubble Force power is that if the user surrounds an attacker with one, it's possible that the enemy can become victim to their own attacks and have their own actions reflected upon them. Obviously, this is incredibly dangerous and would have been an intensely feared Force ability. Despite being so powerful and effective in combat against enemies, there was one major drawback. Because of the intense concentration required to sustain the bubble around oneself, the user would have to become immobile and would not be able to move while using the ability, sometimes for a very long period of time. This of course was also consistent with what Grogu did on top of the Seeing Stone on Tython. Grogu was locked in complete stillness, not moving at all while the vibrant blue bubble surrounded him. I still do believe that Grogu was communing through the Force with another living Force user, maybe Luke, Cal, Ezra, or even Mace, but I think that the blue bubble was actually the ancient Force ability. But let me know down below right now if you think Grogu was successful in contacting another Jedi in the galaxy, or do you think he failed and was pulled away by Moff Gideon's Dark Troopers before he could complete the process? And to top all of that off, this Force ability was known to be used by both sides of the Force and was not exclusively a light side or dark side ability, and we already know that Grogu is capable of tapping into both. So now that we know all of this, I'll quickly break down every known use of this ability that has taken place in the past, starting all the way back in the time of the Old Republic. The first known use of the Force Bubble ability was during a battle between Darth Bane and his former lightsaber combat instructor, Kas'im. After Darth Bane had left the Brotherhood of Darkness, which was an organization of Sith who rose to power during the Dark Age of the Galactic Republic, his former instructor had been sent to kill him. Bane was able to overpower Kas'im's double-bladed lightsaber with incredible ease, but his former instructor changed his combat form during the fight, causing Bane to be put on the back foot and in severe danger. Because of this, Bane rushed out of the temple that they were fighting in and unleashed a devastating shockwave, attempting to kill his former trainer. Kas'im, however, was able to use his knowledge in the Force and summon a Force protection bubble, allowing him to survive the shockwave. Unfortunately though, after he released the bubble, the temple collapsed on top of him, and he was brutally crushed to death anyway. Following that, an Ithorian Jedi Master named Warra used the Force protection bubble in a very creative and pretty desperate way against Darth Bane. The two were engaged in a harsh fight on the planet Tython, and Bane unleashed a horrifying barrage of Force lightning on a nearby fellow Jedi named Jahun Othone. Instead of allowing his fellow Jedi Knight to absorb the harsh power of the Sith Force lightning, Master Warra wrapped both himself and Darth Bane inside of one of the Force safety bubbles, protecting his fellow Jedi Knight, but at the unfortunate cost of reflecting the Dark Lord's lightning back on himself, leading to his own death soon after. The awesome thing about this story is that it did take place on Tython, confirming that the ability can actually be used on Tython, and maybe even more potent on this rocky world because of its deep connection to the Force and its history with the origins of the Jedi Order. If you'd like to learn about the origins of the Jedi Order on Tython and how they evolved from a group of Force-sensitive settlers, make sure you check out the pinned comment down below. After this, we also have a much more recent use of the Force Bubble when Mother Talzin, leader and matriarch of the Night Sisters clan on Dathomir, utilized a variant of the ancient ability. Instead of calling directly on the Force to create this bubble, she of course called upon the magical Ichor on Dathomir, which was what gave the Night Sisters their power in the Force and was the medium which allowed them to use Force abilities. Mother Talzin's use of the Force protection bubble resulted in a round green sphere, rather than the typical blue one which would appear when regular Force users attempted the ability. Talzin was able to use her Force bubble to defend herself from the incoming battle droids during the slaughter of the Night Sisters at the Battle of Dathomir. Unlike regular Force protection bubbles, Mother Talzin was able to utilize a specialized Night Sister variant of green Force lightning, which would pass through the sphere and attack her enemies. Again, this took place on a planet which is known to be rich in the Force, however this time, the dark side of the Force. This just further connects to Grogu using both sides of the Force, and him being able to use it in a place very deeply connected to it. After that, Sindralig also used the Force protection bubble inside of the Jedi Temple during Operation Nightfall, allowing him to heal himself and meditate during his battle with Darth Vader inside of the Jedi Temple after Order 66. If you've played the Revenge of the Sith PS2 game, you'll definitely remember this one. There are also a few more instances of his awesome Force power being used in the timeline, but these ones are probably the most important to Grogu's story. Either Grogu or the Force itself placed the Force protection around the young Force user to protect him from incoming attack or threat while he performed his actions in the Force. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Force itself placed the bubble around him, knowing the extreme importance of Grogu's task, possibly pointing to him having a larger role than any of us yet know. If he did actually contact Luke Skywalker, this would be a perfect reason for the Force to guard Grogu against threat from the outside, or maybe Luke Skywalker himself created the bubble from a distance while communing with the child, which is potentially possible. It's also pretty clear that Grogu's communication with whoever it was, either Luke or other, was completed and that the message was received. Either the Force let the barrier fall because Grogu's mission was a success, or once he finished, Grogu was simply too tired to hold it any longer, leaving it to fall and allowing him to be unfortunately kidnapped by Moff Gideon's Dark Troopers. A small little thing that you may have noticed is that the ability is used quite a lot by those who are very proficient in lightsaber combat, from the trainer of Darth Bane to the battle master of the Jedi Order, Sindralig. So who knows, maybe Grogu was more of a Jedi Guardian who focused himself on combat and lightsaber skill rather than a Jedi Consular who focused on the spiritual side of the Force, or a Sentinel who balanced both. So that is everything we know about the Force Protection Shield ability and why Grogu probably used it to defend himself while communicating with another Jedi while sitting atop the Seeing Stone on Tython. Thanks so much for watching, really hope you enjoyed the video. Cheers guys, hope to see you in the next one.